Today is the 5th of January 2022, and this is the Watchman. Have you all noticed that ever since the Stanley John report and then the report of the Central Audit Committee of the Ministry of Finance have come out, that Gary Griffith is no longer appearing on live media? No, he's not. What he is doing now is putting out his talking points, the same talking points that he has been parroting for months, if not years, and he's putting it on social media and hoping that his supporters will pick it up and disseminate it elsewhere. But he himself is shying away from the press. The man who has a history and reputation of going on the press and using disparaging, insulting names, innuendos, and comments about people whenever they said anything that he did not like. Now he's not doing it anymore. Why? Because he does not want to answer the questions that are being raised. Now, since some of the allegations are of a criminal nature, I respect his right to remain silent and not to incriminate himself. But the fact is, he's not remaining silent. He's trying to use a backdoor method to influence people, undermine the process by casting aspersions on the people and the reports to which they are associated. So he continues to make comments about Stanley John, about Fitzgerald Hines, about the Prime Minister. He's even made a recent comment about Dwayne O'Connor, who made a calypso about him. And he's saying that, look at what this suspended officer is doing, to paraphrase. What he's not saying is that the suspension has been challenged in court and is awaiting a decision. And I expect that Dwayne O'Connor would win that decision. The same way how Gary Griffith has lost many court cases in his short term as Commissioner of Police, including a recent one over the abandonment of office by a police officer. And he's not talking about the large number of fees that the state will have to pay to cover his arbitrary and uninformed decisions that he made during his time as Commissioner of Police. But the media also has a responsibility that when he comes on their program to ask him the hard questions and make sure he answers it. For me, when I hear him on the media and I read his posts or anything of that nature, I'm trying to get some kernel of truth or information about the allegations or the information that is being given in the public domain. And I don't care whether it was leaked or not leaked, but it's out there. Just like how he had leaked information concerning the commissioner's process involving me, for example. So he has to now face it because his shoe is on the other foot. So now, let's hear what you have to say. But when I'm reading his post, all I'm seeing or hearing is like what Red Plastic Bag said. Raga, 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 raga. Yes. That's all you're hearing. Because he does not want to talk definitively about the questions that need to be answered. And the media has to be brave enough and bold enough to do their damn jobs and ask the questions. For example, is it true that you took a lady who was your former secretary and made her an SRP and put her to work in the firearms sections where many people believe she does not have the knowledge and experience to perform in that place? And is it true you wanted to make her an SRP officer, senior officer, until there was a blowback from other senior officers and you relented and made her a lower level SRP? Is it true that you added gratuity onto people's contracts on a monthly basis when you knew or ought to know that gratuity is only at the end of a process? And even in the fact that you did that, did you do that to undermine or bypass the established procedures? Did you do it? Or is it all fake? Say it. Did you split contracts, corporate contracts, in order to ensure that they fell under the 1 million limit that you have as Commissioner of Police? Did you give similar contracts or almost the same contract signed on the same day or days within a close proximity that split one service or one type of service to one client into several small contracts in order to bypass the process? Did you do that, or is it fake? And what would you say of anybody who did that? Is it bid rigging? Is it collusion? From my knowledge of the definition in law, it is. It is. Now, there are other questions, of course. We still have the case of the two men who died in police custody, who you said to the media fell off a chair. Can you tell us where you got the forensic or the other evidence to support your statements? Tell us. Where is the report and how did you come by that information? That's very important, because the image of the police service is suffering because people don't know and people are alleging that it was an extrajudicial killing. Now, there are other questions you must also answer. Did you grant firearm users licenses and give guns to people in large amounts, like individuals getting 20 or more guns? And if it was this for personal protection, why you want to give them 20 guns? Did they have firearm dealers' licenses? Or did they have a security company? Can you justify that? You were saying that hundreds and hundreds applied because you were granting firearms to law-abiding citizens. Firearms are always supposed to be granted to law-abiding citizens. But is it true that firearm licenses were granted to people who were not so law-abiding or whose character was not checked? Like, for example, having a certificate of good character before being granted, or being above the age being required. And let's not talk about the those you issued. Let's talk about the thousands you met. The thousands of applications that was a hangover from the Stephen Williams time that he himself failed to deal with or refused to deal with, whichever. Did you grant licenses to those persons, to the old applicants, or the ones you granted were to the new applicants, or was there a combination? Did you clear through that list and reject those who should be rejected? You have to say. The questions that are being asked about the issuing of licenses and persons who were put in positions of authority that Stanley John described as a well-oiled criminal enterprise. Were you aware of it? I remember you saying that the process for FULs had serious problems and maybe even corruption, and you had to fix it. Did you fix it? Or did you make it worse? You have to answer these questions. And the media personalities out there, except those who are so close to you or who may have received licenses and permits and contracts themselves, and who may be compromised so much that they're afraid to ask a question because they're in the same boat. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the others who should be asking the questions. I remember one lady being brave enough to ask him about corruption with FULs. And his response was not to answer the question, but to insult her. Have you ever been accused of being a prostitute? No, she has not. She was never been accused of anything with relation to her job. But you were being accused in relation to yours. Don't turn the question around and try to insult the lady. And they should have stopped him there and said, this is nonsense. You can't come on our program and try to disparage us by not answering the questions. No. He doesn't want to answer. There are people he don't answer to. Like me, for example. He's insulted everybody else. Start insulting me. I'm waiting. Because I have a few choice things to say. And you know I have a big mouth too. And me and no cocoa in sun. So I'm not afraid. But let the media do their job. And don't be afraid. Gary will be the butt of so many calypsos that he will have much more than you to deal with. Oh, and I expect as well that there might be some criminal or procedural action to follow all of these allegations. Watchman out.